Did anybody see you come in?
I don't think so.
Well, how the f*** did they miss you getting around?
Oh, this is a show that we made for you, for your mom and your dad and your aunties too. So grab yourself a coffee, it's a crack of dawn, and strap yourself in for a heaps good morning. Psst. It's another heaps good Sunday morning, and yet again we're here to delight and entertain.
And possibly inform!
Ta-da! We're back again.
I'm back! Look, not for nothing, but life has really been fucking me over, man. It's been a rough slog, and yeah, I really miss the studio. I have noticed that the background has gotten quite densely populated in the weeks that I've been gone.
It has been changing a little bit.
Well, we've addressed that.
I need places to put all my shit.
Big thanks to Nelly for filling in for me. It was either somebody fill in, which I very begrudgingly let happen, but Ziggie struck up a deal. I like how it's like, I'm not going to be there, but you have to strike up a deal with me to be allowed to do the episode without me, even though everybody knows I just show up.
Yeah.
Like, I just show up, except for today. We worked really hard today.
You're doing a lot more of, I don't know, getting stuff together. We're having to do a lot more research.
Well, I've had some time off.
Do you know what? I'm going to take this stuff off now because I'm feeling really...
Oh, I was like prepared for that to just like totally stay there the whole time.
Oh, really? No, it's a bit too much for my face, I think.
Well, at least you didn't have to wipe off charcoal.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you borrow someone's weird kinky fetish mask.
Well, that's what I wore to the
that was my point.
The kink party the other weekend.
The weird kinky fetish party.
I had the black war paint on underneath, so yeah, that's where it probably
Did you wear the mask the whole night?
No. I had a drink. And I wanted a scotch on the rocks. Do you know how awkward it is to drink a scotch on the rocks in that mask?
I think it's drinking anything in that mask. I don't think it's just that it was scotch on the rocks.
Well, I ended up having to use a straw. And that's not classy at all.
So butch. So yeah, thanks to Nelly for filling in. I am back now.
You are.
Sorry I was gone. I'm sure you all just missed my lovely cars. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff happening in the real world of us. So
yeah. Life problems. They're
life
great.
problems. Things were shitty. So shitty. But anyways, so other than you totally redecorating and trying to replace me, anything else new happening or no? Just nothing new?
Well, there's lots of new stuff going on in my life, but...
Oh, we're addressing that later.
We're going to address that later.
We've set aside a whole block of time to address that.
We have a month.
Episode. Yeah, a month. That's, if you look, that's at the end of this episode here, so...
Oh, okay,
We'll talk about it then.
Yeah, we'll talk about it
next
then.
Week. Next week.
Because we don't film 2 episodes at once, so...
We don't stockpile episodes because someone's going overseas.
Yeah.
That's just rude. So yeah. What are we doing today? Do you remember what we're doing today?
We are, because I wrote it up on the board.
Oh, I was like, I know what we're doing today.
Today we're doing political and government conspiracies, so hence why we are trying to keep ourselves under wraps when we are coming to the studio.
Super tops, yeah. All of the public that's out there outside the studio.
Yeah, people.
Luckily, it's an unmarked building. Yeah, we told you guys we're going to get back to the mindfuckery list.
And we are.
And we are. We are now officially on number 2 today.
We are.
Number 2. So it is the government. We've just called it government conspiracy.
Yes.
Really? Yeah. All right. So we've decided there's a lot of government conspiracies. Like everything's a government conspiracy, really. Big pharma, food industry, all of that. It all boils down to the government, really. But we chose just like a grab bag of stuff that you always hear about. And a couple of them are kind of America specific.
Yeah.
But I think that's because Americans are so obnoxious and loudmouthed.
No!
That's what the rest of the world tends to hear the most about. So there's well, really, 3 of them are America things. But I mean, they do involve the rest of the world. But And then the other ones are just general government conspiracies.
Wow.
So am I kicking it off for you?
You can kick it off.
So, the card I drew was moon landing conspiracies. Did the Americans land on the moon? Were they just trying to beat Russia at it? Or did they create this big elaborate like movie set and lighting and spend millions and millions of dollars to just tell the whole world they landed on the moon? Now, there's a lot of things that go into this actually. So what I did was I just picked the top 8 main arguments that it was a hoax.
Okay, yep.
And since the moon landing happened pre-internet, everything's pretty much based on photographic evidence.
Mm-hmm. So it was, sorry, it's 20th of July, 1969, is that correct?
Oh, if I remember correctly, sure.
Yeah, no, I've got it written down.
I was like, I didn't even look it up. Didn't even look it up. Didn't even think about it. Actually, didn't even think about that.
Well, there we go. It was.
So there you go.
There we go. 20th of July, 1969. A little bit before the internet, just a tad.
Oh, a day or two.
A day or two.
So it's all based on photographs. So during my thing, we'll be doing a lot of this, inserting photographs. But there wasn't a photograph just then.
I'll put one there. Anyway.
Every time we do that, will you put a photograph? A photograph?
Yeah, it might not be relevant to the episode.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get into this because, people don't want to have to sit here and listen forever. So.
I've already got something on my nice clean shirt. Jesus.
It's brand new. First time you wore it.
Yeah.
P.S. My shirt's not even really like a shirt. Like it barely even. Luckily, I wore the high-waisted pants today, but far out, man. It is like the tiniest of shirts.
Barely covers her bra.
Well, it doesn't really look. Like, it's weird. There's only like 4 inches of connected bits.
Oh, handy.
I mean, I'm all about being skin proud and all that, but come on. Okay, so we'll run through these as quick as possible. So, one of the main arguments that all conspiracy theorists seem to start off with the moon landing is, oh yeah, but there's no wind in space and the flag was flapping around and you could see it in the videos, it was just flapping in the breeze, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to address that because essentially what this list of stuff is scientifically debunking some of the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I do or do not believe that America landed on the moon because I don't, I don't care. Actually, I don't care. It was a great show to watch if they did recreate it or make it, create it for the first time. Anyways, I don't care. It's still cool. Mm-hmm. I think it's a bit disrespectful to the astronauts if they did go to the moon. But other than that, I don't really give a shit. So, anyway, so by the way, if you need to cross-reference any of this, you can just go to the National Geographic, did a whole thing on debunking the stuff.
Yep.
And I did not use Wikipedia today.
Ah.
Not even for my images, aren't you? Because we've passed a rule, we don't use Wikipedia.
Yeah, no more Wikipedia.
Essentially, the response to the flag thing was, and I'm going to be reading a fair bit, so I apologize. The fag.
Whoopsie!
Anyway, I'm in the club, I'm allowed to say it, right?
Sure, why not?
We had a big chat about that earlier, about which ones I'm allowed to use, because I'm only in one side of the club. So anyway, according to many scientists that have countered the whole flapping flag theory, is that the flag is actually moving in response to being placed there by an astronaut. A little thing called inertia that happens when he lets go of the flag.
Yep.
Because what a lot of people don't know is that in theory, you're like, I'm going to take this flag to the moon and I'm going to pop it in the ground, no big deal, no worries. But no one had ever done that before. And the ground, if you have done any extensive research on the moon, like I have, the ground is incredibly rocky. Mm-hmm. It's very, very hard and quite a solid, I wouldn't call it like a whole slab of rock, but it's very solid. It's only covered with layers of moon dust, which I'll get into that later, which is quite powdery and fine. So underneath the moon dust, which is not very thick, it's just like solid rock. So when they were really chuffed with themselves, they got to the moon. The 2 of them that always get credit for going to the moon, not that loser in the, not Michael Collins, not a loser in the spacecraft, but the other 2, they got to actually do something. So they're like, we're gonna plant this flag for America, and it was just like tink. Like they're like ding ding, wouldn't go in.
Yep.
So essentially what happened because of that is the video that you see of them planting the flag, they actually keep having to
redo it,
like catch it and keep it from falling, and they also bent. There's a rod in that flag to hold because they knew that there was no like wind or anything like that in space or on the lunar surface. So there's also a rod in the top of the flag to keep the flag unfurled.
Yep.
But they bent it. It's actually like, next time you go to the moon, have a look because it's actually quite a tatty flag, and it may have. Well, because of the lack of gravity and stuff, it's still there, but I don't know how well it's anchored into the ground or anything like that. So.
And I believe I've heard it's white now.
Probably. There's a lot of light, which I'll address that as well.
Okay, yeah.
So that's it. They bent it, they moved it a lot. It's a little thing called inertia, so if you're really into why the flag shouldn't be flapping, then you should also have heard of inertia. So read about it. One of the other arguments is that 2 astronauts walked on the moon, but in all of the famous... Oh, wait a minute. Here's a photo of the flag. So anyway, moving on.
That's before it turned white, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just different colors of gray and stuff because it's not a color photo. So another thing is, in a lot of the photos, again, it's all like photographic evidence, like this one, which is a famous moon landing photo.
Yep.
2 astronauts were walking on the moon. Sounds like a joke. 2 astronauts were walking on the moon. And in most famous photos, both astronauts are visible because the visors on their helmets are very reflective.
Yep.
And so the conspiracy theorists are like, oh yeah, I can see both of them, and you can't see a camera in any of the photos. Who's taking the picture?
Was it an external camera on the craft itself?
No. Well, there were cameras all over the place. Actually, there's lots of cameras, which we'll address. But like most of the photos, like this one that I just showed you.
Oh, there's going to be lots this episode.
I know. Because it's like magic. If you look closely, you can't see Neil Armstrong. Wait, is that Neil Armstrong or both? Yeah. You can't see his hand, but you can see that it's like held close to his chest because he's taking a fucking selfie, man. Like, the camera's just not in the shot. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, some of these you're just kind of like, really, guys? Come on, you're really grasping at straws. So
First
that's
ever
that one.
selfie stick.
With his hand. No stick, just his hand. So yeah, he's holding the camera in front of his chest, specifically to keep the camera out of the photos because, you're on the moon. You want nice photos.
That's right, yeah.
So, another one of them, number 3, is apparently the astronauts did not react enough to the view of the stars. And a lot of that comes from 2001, which is an Arthur C. Clarence act. And this guy, Dave Bowman, there's a famous exclamation about the view from space of the stars. Mm-hmm. From space of space. And he says, my God, it's full of stars. Well, he's no Carl Sagan, this guy. But anyways. So...
I've been to the country. There's lots of stars out in the country.
Yeah, but if you're in amongst the stars, apparently it's like intense. But anyway,
okay.
So that's what people are saying. Well, neither one of them even made mention of how many stars you could see from the lunar surface, right?
They had a job to do.
Well, and also, you know how the science behind why we see the moon? Like it's the sun's light reflecting off of the lunar surface.
Yep.
Which is covered in a very fine powder that's very reflective. That's why at night when you have a full moon, you can like see and shit.
Yep. Because
the surface is reflective. And the thing about stars is if you've looked at stars in the city and stars out in the country, what do they call that? Light pollution? Yeah, light pollution.
Yeah.
Minimizes your ability to see the stars. So you look at the amount of reflective surfaces on the moon, when you're on the moon, which is a reflective surface.
So they potentially
might not have seen very many stars at all.
Yeah.
Because they would have been fighting, like I've got the list of, and also in all the photos you don't see any stars. You might see some, but not like what you would expect if you were like in outer space.
Yeah.
So the moon surface reflects sun, with such ferocity that would have made stars difficult to see. Also, the thing about the cameras is the cameras that they use had to have a really high exposure setting, like a really rapid exposure setting, which would have minimized, background light anyways, any incoming background light. So that's why you can't see like the Milky. I guess people were expecting to see like the Milky Way or something like that, but yeah. So there's that one. So number 4, in the photos of the modules on the moon, it's just sitting on like a flat surface. There's no dust. There's no like crevasse.
Yep.
And so everyone thinks that there should have been more disruption from landing the module.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to try to figure it out. I was like, oh, what's he doing here? Okay. The reason for that is, and look, I'm not minimizing conspiracy theorists because some of them I believe, some of them don't. But stop watching sci-fi movies. Like, just stop it. Because the thing about that module is, in your head, you think of like what you would imagine a module landing on the surface of anything, right? So it's like jet blasters. It's not like that. And they had already it said that they had throttled back before landing anyways. So there was little to no actual hovering. So there would have been very little disturbance to any of the dust or anything like that, especially not enough to make like a big, because people are saying there should have been a noticeable crater.
But
it's rock. Keep in mind, it's rock.
And there's only like an inch or so of...
Yeah, layer of the dust. Come on, guys. How many times do you make me repeat myself?
That's a bit poor.
Yeah.
Piss poor.
So moving on, the next one. In this photo. Sorry. They're all photographic evidence. I'm sorry. And there's other photos like this, but this is one of the main argument ones. So Buzz Aldrin is visible. Like you can very clearly see him. But he is also very clearly in a shadow of, I think it was of the module itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like holding out foil. I think he's like collecting samples of the dust or whatever. So people are like, well, how can he be in a shadow and still be able to see him? Because there's only one source of light. And that's been a constant argument is, well, the shadows don't line up. And how many sources of light did they put in this created studio of the moon? Again, guys, lunar surface very reflective. You got the sun. The Earth is actually reflective as well because of how much water we have. So that's reflecting light. And then you have even smaller influences like the module was reflective. They're very, like spacesuits were white and chrome reflective. So it was one single light source was magnified a billion times. So there was light coming from every which way. So again, you'll get tired of hearing reflective surface, guys. Reflective surface. Number 6. This actually isn't about a reflective surface. In this photo here. Sorry. And a lot of other photos, but this is a good one. That print, okay, so apparently while the conspiracy theorists argue that there's no wind, the flag shouldn't be flapping about like that. Then they say, well, that boot made entirely too good of a print. And the soil should have been more disturbed. So, this is where I get into moon dust. Regolith, it's called. Regolith. I'll let you spell it here.
At least you spelled it out for me first, so I can just type it in.
I've been gone a long time, guys. Let me do my thing. So anyway, regolith is like finely ground powder. Under a microscope, it is very similar to volcanic ash. Like it is almost like volcanic ash. If you touch it, it dissipates for the most part. I mean, not all of it, but it leaves a residue. But this is a very fine powder. And there's no wind on the moon, right? It's a windless, airless vacuum, the lunar surface, airless vacuum. So that boot print would essentially be like an exact mold of what the bottom of that boot would have looked like, and it would have stayed like that for a very long time. In fact, I think what the scientist that they were quoting in this thing, I think he actually said long lasting and pristine. So like that, there's no mucking around with that. Like, so there you go, guys. Chill out with the boot thing. And then another one's like, well, we've got all these super powerful telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope, and we should be able to be at any given moment see all the crap we left on the moon. But the thing about that is the Hubble Space Telescope doesn't photograph tiny things on the moon from the Earth's surface. So like the most powerful and biggest telescope that currently exists on the Earth's surface in the world, not just in America or Australia, but in the world, can only photograph clearly something on the moon. Like the smallest thing it can photograph is slightly larger than the average house. Like it.
Oh, okay. So there's no way it could narrow it in like a flag.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the moon's kind of far away.
Yeah, just
like, I mean, and that the telescope that they're speaking of is like the most powerful telescope in the world ever created. So it's not as easy as just being like, well, I want to see that footprint right now. Beep bop, boop boop boop. Like, stop watching sci-fi movies.
We don't have Google Moon yet.
Google's terrifying. Sorry, and the last one, I'll be done. I don't actually like this one. I think this one's stupid. I don't think it should have been included on the list because it's just really dumb. But, and a lot of photos, much like this photo here, I left it up for a long time on purpose because it's the mysterious reflections argument, right? So in that photo, you can see like a mysterious reflection. It's a mysterious reflection, right?
Yeah.
And people argue that that's all of the proposed studio lights of the, you know, of the set, the moon landing set. And the only argument, and that within itself is a stupid argument because again, reflective surfaces, guys. So then NASA comes back and says, and like spokespeople for NASA and spokespeople for astronauts and all of the other people that say, come on guys, give it a rest. So they basically say, well, that's highly unlikely that NASA would have spent millions of dollars creating this ruse to just all of it unravel due to mysterious reflections.
Yeah.
So essentially people were like, well, what's that? And NASA was like, no, like, so I didn't actually include that one, but, so that's it. That's me done. No more photos of the moon from me.
Fantastic.
So that's it. I spat it out as fast as I could.
Only took 20 minutes, but that's okay. But I've heard from some of my research in the past that, alright, so the moon landing was recorded, of course, on July 20th in 1969.
Yes, we established that fact.
Yes, yeah. In Australia, from a place called Parkes Observatory in New South Wales.
Isn't that where they took a lot of the footage from that? Is it from there they took a lot of the famous space footage originally came from one of the, that's one of the main places, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was
one of the main sources.
It's called, well, it's nicknamed The Dish. And so they have the footage, they had the footage there, and they kept it stored in Australia at that location. However,
was it in like I imagine it was in like a old biscuit tin.
Yeah, I would say
like
so.
An old, like wheat Bix tins or something like that. Because Australia. This
footage has been lost, and they don't know whether it has just been misplaced or if they've maybe taped over it with a couple of episodes of Home and Away or something like that. Not sure.
Yeah, it would have been what was that? Prisoner or whatever.
Prisoner,
back in the day.
Yeah,
they would have taped Prisoner over it. Well, are there people alive in your research? Was there anybody alive? Because it was so long ago, that actually like saw the raw footage. Like, can't you just say, hey, where'd you leave my tin of moon landing footage because it's kind of pivotal? No, okay, we have no idea. So
no idea.
Typical Australia.
Yeah.
Had a quick carton or a goon sack. Now they don't remember where I've put it.
Pretty much.
And here's America going, seriously guys, how many times? We give you one responsibility and you fucked it up.
Yep. So apparently the only footage that exists nowadays is actually stuff that came off of the televised footage that was put on TV for everyone to see.
Oh, so
So they say that all the secrets to it was lost with the tape that was gone missing.
It's all a ruse.
It's all a ruse.
So silly. I mean, really, why are we still talking about it? This. Although I've always said, it's like America was like, we're gonna go to the moon, get that sorted. They did it. It worked. Nobody died. We killed lots of other people just trying to get them into space after that, and then we just didn't do anything else with the space program after that.
It wasn't important anymore.
It's like that is a bit iffy, I think.
It's like America got there and Russia just went,
Well, Australia doesn't even have a space program.
No.
Again, Australia. Oh, man.
We'll just someone else will deal with it, it's alright.
And then everyone else just lost interest, so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, as we've stated, maybe in the episode, maybe not, because it hasn't been edited yet. We didn't get through the whole thing because it's been a 9-10 hour day with all this conspiracy stuff. So we're not doing our traditional outro.
No.
We're just gonna say we'll catch you next week, and we'll finish all of this heavy shit next week. So come back if you want to hear the other half next week, and then
definitely.
Yeah. So have a nice day. Sorry
Catch us
we bummed you
later.
out. Bye.